Hi, this is John Young, and I'm here today with Idaho State Senator Janie Ward-Engelking. She's representing District 18, which I believe covers mainly southeast Boise area.
Yeah, and there's also a big chunk in South Boise. So south of Overland goes clear to 5 Mile and up Victory, and then clear out on Cole. So almost Elmore County. So it's a big district. It also goes clear up to Lucky Peak. So it's a very large geographic district.
Okay. Does that include Idaho City?
Not quite. Doesn't go quite that far.
All right. So, Janie, how long have you lived in the district?
I've lived in, southeast Boise for about at least 30 years. So a long time.
Okay, wow. And so what have you done for a living primarily?
I'm a retired classroom teacher. I taught for 33 years. Some of it in junior high, and then most of it, the good part of it, in 6th grade. And several schools in Boise. Hillcrest, Garfield, and then Riverside. So I also have done some training for the Idaho Education Association and for College of Western Idaho, so, and some curriculum writing. So, been busy.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of great experience, especially on the education side.
Right.
Do you find that experience comes in helpful as a legislator in Idaho?
Well, the education issue is probably, I believe, one of the most critical issues facing Idaho. And it is really what encouraged me to run, was the idea that maybe I could help with some of those decisions in moving education forward in Idaho. There's a lot of people in the legislature that have a little bit of experience with education, but there's very few that have actually made a career in education. So we need that experience and that voice, I think, to make sure we get things right for children and our grandchildren.
Awesome. So, I have a lot of questions about education. It's, one of my favorite subjects. I have children in the Boise School District. I, hope they get the best education possible. But I also know a lot of adults who are struggling with lack of education and perhaps some irrelevance in our current economy. So I'd like to start out talking about education. First off, my wife and I decided to put our children into a charter school. And I think this particular school, we like the philosophy. Some of the things they're teaching the kids are unique. They focus on what they call the 7 habits, which are derived from Stephen Covey, which is his 7 habits of highly successful people is something I have read to help with my own performance at work. So we like that, but otherwise it seems to be a typical school. And one of the things I worry about, actually, with the charter school idea is that it can hurt, I guess, the typical standard school where you just go by your geographical area, you go to this school here, or that one there. So the traditional schooling, I guess I sense maybe this opposition between typical public schools and charter schools. Do you think that exists?
Well, I don't think there's a problem yet. I think we could run into a situation where we are not funding any of our schools adequately, and we're pretty close to that right now. So that's the dilemma that we face. Charter schools were set up originally to try a new innovative idea. And if that idea is successful and it's working well, then we ought to take a look at implementing that in our public schools in a broader way. But and they were kind of like incubators of great ideas, and I love that about charter schools, and I think that's a real positive thing. Now, having said that, my favorite I guess the way I would love to see charter schools work is under the umbrella of their school district, so that everybody's kind of working together to find a really wonderful creative idea, and that we're not creating a lot of haves and have-nots, but we're allowing opportunities to transport kids to a charter school within the public school system. And I know Boise does some of that. We've got a math and science, school so no matter where you are in Boise, you can be bused to that or taken to that school, and it's not, I guess to some degree it's a lottery, but not really. I worry what happens every time we add a charter school. It's like adding a little school district, and then that funding, as we put through the formula, becomes kind of a deciding factor on whether all of our children, charter schools children included, are getting what they need. We've got to make sure that we give adequate funding for public schools, and charter schools are public schools. So we just have to make sure that we're not creating more and more schools and providing less and less money.
Okay, you mentioned having a charter school work under a district. Is there currently some kind of way that information is transferred, meaning if the charter school finds something that seems to be working, that the public school is able to see it, maybe gather the data, implement as necessary?
I think that's where we've fallen down. We've got great charter schools out there. We have great traditional public schools, and there's very little sharing of that information. And I'm not sure where that should be done, probably the State Department of Education. But and we're certainly in a generation of computers, and we have a great deal of data. There seems to be a lacking we don't have the mechanism put together to actually collate that information and get it out to other districts. And I think that's true even with traditional public schools in the state that have really made great headway with their students in their performance. And we've been lax, I think, about sharing how they got there. What are those schools doing that's creating such a positive impact on students? And so we need to do a better job of modeling that.
How might we improve on that communication?
I think we probably need to make sure that the State Department of Education it stays on top of all that and can just get that information out to other schools. And there's got to be more of a dialogue, bringing people together to talk about things that are working and things that aren't working. And if we have similar problems, is there a district, is there a school that solved that issue, and can we look at their solution and create something that will work in our district? And I think that lack of dialogue is what we're missing. And we could put together a summit. It can be done, and it has been done in the past, but it's been a long time.